Welcome to this exploration of one of the most fascinating archaeological sites in the world, Pompeii. As we delve into the history of this ancient Roman city, we'll uncover a snapshot of life frozen in time by the catastrophic eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. I've always been captivated by the way Pompeii offers us a unique window into the past, preserving the minutiae of daily life in a way that few other historical sites can match. Today, we'll journey through the streets of Pompeii, examining its rich history, its tragic demise, and the incredible discoveries that continue to emerge from its ash-covered ruins. Situated near modern-day Naples in the Campania region of Italy, Pompeii was once a thriving city of between 10 and 20,000 inhabitants. Its location on a coastal lava plateau created by earlier eruptions of Vesuvius gave it fertile soil and a strategic position for trade. But this proximity to the volcano would ultimately seal its fate. As we explore the city's history and eventual rediscovery, we'll see how Pompeii has become not just a testament to Roman life, but also a cautionary tale about the awesome power of nature. Pompeii was built approximately 40 meters above sea level on a coastal lava plateau created by earlier eruptions of Mount Vesuvius, 8 kilometers distant. The story of Pompeii begins long before its famous destruction. The earliest stable settlements on the site date back to the 8th century BC, when the Oscans, an ancient Italic people, founded 5 villages in the area. It's fascinating to consider how this modest beginning would evolve into the bustling Roman city we now know. The arrival of the Greeks in Campania around 740 BC marked a significant turning point, bringing Pompeii into the orbit of Hellenic culture. This Greek influence is evident in some of the city's oldest structures, such as the Doric Temple, in what would later become the Triangular Forum. As we move into the 6th century BC, we see Pompeii beginning to coalesce into a single community. This period saw the construction of the first city walls, made of tough stone. These walls, known as the Papamonte Wall, enclosed an area far larger than the early town, including much agricultural land. This suggests that Pompeii was already a place of some importance and wealth. The city's strategic location near the mouth of the river Sarno facilitated maritime trade, further boosting its prosperity. It's remarkable to think about how these early developments laid the groundwork for the city's future growth and importance. That such an impressive wall was built at this time indicates that the settlement was already important and wealthy. The next major chapter in Pompeii's history came with the arrival of the Etruscans in 524 BC. While they didn't conquer the city militarily, their influence was significant. Pompeii became a member of the Etruscan League of Cities, and we see evidence of their presence in inscriptions and a 6th century BC necropolis discovered in excavations. The Etruscans left their mark on the city's architecture too, with the development of a primitive forum and the construction of the Temple of Apollo. Houses built during this period featured the distinctive Tuscan atrium, a hallmark of Etruscan design. It's fascinating to see how these different cultural influences layered upon one another, creating the unique character of Pompeii. The Roman period marked the true golden age of Pompeii, transforming it from a modest town into a thriving urban centre. This transformation began in earnest after the Social War of 89 BC, when Pompeii was besieged by the Roman general Sulla. The city's surrender led to its new status as a Roman colony, named Colonia Cornelia Veneria Pompeianorum. It's fascinating to consider how this change in political status affected the daily lives of Pompeians. Many of Sulla's veterans were given land and property in and around the city, while those who had opposed Rome were dispossessed. This influx of Roman citizens rapidly changed the cultural and linguistic landscape of Pompeii, with Latin becoming the dominant language and many old aristocratic families Latinizing their names. Many of Sulla's veterans were given land and property in and around the city, while many who opposed Rome were dispossessed of their property. The period following Pompeii's incorporation into the Roman world saw a remarkable flourishing of the city. The area around Pompeii became highly desirable for wealthy Romans seeking to build villas along the Bay of Naples. This influx of wealth, combined with the rich agricultural land surrounding the city, led to a period of great prosperity. We see evidence of this in the numerous farms and villas that have been excavated outside the city walls. The Villa of the Mysteries, with its famous frescoes, and the Villa of Diomedes, are just two examples of the opulent residences that sprang up during this time. It's worth noting that this prosperity wasn't limited to the elite. The city as a whole benefited from its status as an important passage for goods arriving by sea and destined for Rome or southern Italy. The Roman period also saw a significant expansion of Pompeii's public buildings and infrastructure. The amphitheatre of Pompeii, built around 70 BC, is a prime example of this development. It's one of the oldest known Roman amphitheatres and could seat around 20,000 spectators, more than the entire population of the city. Other notable additions included the Forum Baths, the Odeon, and the large theatre. These buildings not only enhanced the cultural life of the city, but also significantly boosted its social and economic development. It's remarkable to think about how these structures, which we now view as ancient ruins, were once the beating heart of a vibrant, thriving community. These buildings raised the status of Pompeii as a cultural centre in the region, as it outshone its neighbours in the number of places for entertainment, which significantly enhanced the social and economic development of the city. One of the most fascinating aspects of Pompeii is how it provides us with an unparalleled snapshot of daily life in a Roman city. The preservation of the city has allowed archaeologists to piece together a detailed picture of how Pompeians lived, worked, and played. Let's start with the city's economy. Pompeii was a bustling commercial centre with a diverse range of businesses and industries. The city had at least 31 bakeries, each equipped with wood-burning ovens, millstones, and sales counters. The largest of these, the Modestus Bakery, gives us a sense of the scale of food production in the city. It's intriguing to imagine the smells and sounds that would have filled the air as bakers worked to meet the daily bread needs of thousands of citizens. Another key feature of Pompeian life was the Thermopolium, a kind of ancient fast food restaurant. Nearly 100 of these establishments have been identified in Pompeii, indicating their popularity among the city's inhabitants. These snack bars served hot food and drinks, catering to those who couldn't afford private kitchens or needed a quick meal. The Thermopolium of Vetutius Placidus, for instance, provides us with a vivid picture of these establishments. It had a counter facing the street, several large jars, dolia, for storing food, and a back room where customers could eat their meals. The walls were often decorated with frescoes, some of which have survived to this day, giving us a glimpse of the vibrant atmosphere these places must have had. Thermopolia were inns or snack bars in which hot food and drinks were sold, and in Pompeii there were nearly 100. The textile industry was another significant part of Pompeii's economy. The city had numerous workshops dedicated to various stages of wool processing, from raw material preparation to spinning, dyeing, and washing. The building of Eumachia, named after the priestess who funded its construction, served as the wool market and possibly the headquarters of the Fullers Guild. It's fascinating to consider how this building, with its grand colonnade and numerous niches for statues, would have bustled with activity on market days. The Phalonica of Stephanus provides us with a more intimate look at the textile industry. Originally a house, it was converted into a workshop for processing fabrics. The lower floor housed large tanks for washing clothes with a mixture of water, soda, and urine, a pungent but effective cleaning method of the time. The story of Pompeii's destruction is one that has captivated people for centuries. On that fateful day in 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius unleashed its fury on the unsuspecting cities below. Recent research has suggested that the eruption likely occurred in October, rather than August as traditionally believed. This timing is supported by evidence such as the types of food preserved in the ruins and the warm clothing worn by the victims. The eruption itself lasted for 2 days, beginning with a rain of pumice and ash that lasted about 18 hours. This initial phase allowed most of the city's inhabitants to escape, which explains why relatively few bodies have been found in the ruins. approximately 1,150 in total. The eruption lasted for 2 days. The first phase was of pumice rain, lapilli, lasting about 18 hours, allowing most inhabitants to escape. However, the true devastation came in the second phase of the eruption. Pyroclastic flows, high-speed, dense and scorching clouds of ash, swept down the slopes of Vesuvius, engulfing everything in their path. These flows were lethal, with temperatures reaching at least 250 degrees Celsius. Even those sheltered inside buildings stood little chance of survival. It's a sobering thought to consider how quickly life can change, how a thriving city can be snuffed out in a matter of hours. The pyroclastic flows not only killed those who remained, but also dramatically altered the landscape, including the coastline. By the evening of the second day, Pompeii was buried under up to 6 meters of ash and pumice, preserved in a time capsule for future generations to discover. Our most vivid account of the eruption comes from Pliny the Younger, who observed the catastrophe from across the Bay of Naples at Misenum. His uncle, Pliny the Elder, died while attempting to rescue stranded victims. The younger Pliny's description of the eruption was so detailed and accurate that volcanologists still use the term Plinian eruption to describe similar events today. It's worth noting, however, that Pliny wrote his account some 27 years after the event. Despite this delay, his description aligns well with the archaeological evidence we've uncovered. The layers of ash and pumice, the preserved bodies, the abandoned possessions, all tell a story that corroborates Pliny's account. It's a testament to the power of eyewitness testimony, even across the centuries, in helping us understand historical events. Pliny the Younger provided a first-hand account of the eruption of Mount Vesuvius from his position across the Bay of Naples at Misenum, but it was written approximately 27 or 28 years after the event. The story of Pompeii's rediscovery is almost as fascinating as the city itself. For centuries, the buried city lay forgotten, its name and location lost to time. It wasn't until 1592 that the first hints of its existence were uncovered, when architect Domenico Fontana, while digging an underground aqueduct, stumbled upon ancient walls covered with paintings and inscriptions. Remarkably, Fontana kept his discovery secret, and it would be nearly another century before the significance of the site began to be recognized. In 1689, Francesco Pichetti saw a wall inscription mentioning De Curio Pompeis, but he mistakenly associated it with a villa of Pompeii rather than the lost city. The first scientific excavations of Pompeii began in 1748, led by Roque Joaquin de Alcubierre. These early excavations were driven more by a desire for spectacular finds than systematic archaeological study. It wasn't until 1763 that an inscription definitively identifying the site as Pompeii was discovered. From that point on, interest in the site grew rapidly. The French occupation of Naples from 1799 to 1815 saw a significant acceleration in the pace of excavations, with up to 700 workers employed at the site. This period gave us our first real impression of the size and appearance of the ancient town. Carl Weber directed the first scientific excavations. A major turning point in the excavation of Pompeii came in 1863 with the appointment of Giuseppe Fiorelli as director of the excavations. Fiorelli introduced scientific documentation methods and divided the city into the 9 regions and blocks that we still use today. Perhaps his most famous contribution was the technique of creating plaster casts of the voids left by decomposed bodies in the ash layer. These casts give us haunting, 3-dimensional snapshots of Pompeii's inhabitants in their final moments. It's a sobering reminder of the human tragedy behind the archaeological wonder. Today, we use a clear resin instead of plaster for these casts, allowing for further analysis of the bones within. Fiorelli's work marked the beginning of a more systematic and considered approach to excavating Pompeii, though the focus remained largely on uncovering spectacular finds rather than answering broader questions about the city and its history. Today, Pompeii faces significant challenges in terms of preservation and conservation. The very act of excavation which exposed the city to the elements after nearly 2 millennia of protection under ash and pumice, has paradoxically put it at risk. Weathering, erosion, light exposure and water damage all take their toll on the ancient structures and artifacts. Moreover, the sheer number of tourists visiting the site each year, around 2.5 million, poses its own set of challenges. The wear and tear from foot traffic, the potential for vandalism, and the need to balance accessibility with preservation are ongoing concerns for site managers. Despite these challenges, conservation efforts continue, and remarkably, new discoveries are still being made at Pompeii. In recent years, excavations have unearthed a number of exciting finds. In 2018, archaeologists discovered the remains of harnessed horses in the Villa of the Mysteries. In 2020, a well-preserved thermopolium, or snack bar, was excavated in Reggio 5, complete with frescoes depicting some of the food on offer, and even remnants of meals in terracotta pots. These discoveries continue to add to our understanding of life in ancient Pompeii, and demonstrate that, even after centuries of study, the site still has secrets to reveal. In December 2020, a thermopolium, an inn or snack bar, was excavated in Reggio 5. In addition to brightly coloured frescoes depicting some of the food on offer, archaeologists found 8 dolia, terracotta pots, still containing remnants of meals including duck, goat, pig, fish and snails. Looking to the future, the preservation of Pompeii remains a critical concern. The Grande Progetto Pompeii, a 5-year conservation project begun in 2012 with European Union support, has made significant strides in stabilising and conserving buildings in high-risk areas. Additionally, new management plans have been implemented to better integrate the site's management, conservation and maintenance programs. These efforts are crucial not just for preserving this invaluable piece of history, but also for ensuring that future generations can continue to learn from and be inspired by Pompeii. As we conclude our exploration of this remarkable city, I'm struck by how Pompeii continues to captivate us, not just as a window into the ancient past, but as a reminder of the fragility of human civilization in the face of natural forces. As we come to the end of our journey through the fascinating history of Pompeii, it's worth reflecting on the profound impact this ancient city has had on our understanding of Roman life and on the field of archaeology itself. Pompeii offers us an unparalleled glimpse into the past, a moment frozen in time by the very disaster that destroyed it. From its humble beginnings as an Oscan settlement, through its days as a prosperous Roman colony, to its tragic end and eventual rediscovery, Pompeii's story continues to captivate us. The ongoing work at the site, with new discoveries still being made, reminds us that history is not static, but a living, evolving field of study. As we face the challenges of preserving this invaluable site for future generations, we're also preserving a powerful reminder of both the achievements and the vulnerabilities of human civilization. Pompeii is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, owing to its status as the only archaeological site in the world that provides a complete picture of an ancient Roman city. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Pompeii. I hope this journey through time has given you a deeper appreciation for this remarkable site and the insights it provides into our shared human history. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Your support makes it possible for me to continue creating content on fascinating historical topics like this. Do let me know in the comments if there are other ancient sites or historical periods you'd like me to cover in future videos. Until next time, keep exploring the wonders of our past.